So let me place all of you on mute. So we'll start with the class today. Let me plug my mic. Okay. So I guess the background should be uh, at least reduced. The background noise. Okay. So guys, if you remember, we discussed three scripts in the last class. So I have it over here. Oops. Okay. So let me input the password there. So give me 1 second. Okay, so this is the first script where we discussed if a interface is down, we will bring it up. Okay, and we did some sorts of scenarios, like if a interface is invalid, then the prompt will be sent to the user saying that you have entered a invalid interface. If interface is good, and now if the interface is up or down, depending upon that situation, we will do accordingly. Let's say here, if interface is not up, then you are gonna basically write this command, okay, using send config set, and you will bring this up, and then you're gonna print it saying that interface is up. If let's say interface was already up, then you will just say that interface is up and you will come out of the script. So this was the scope, and you guys wanted me to have some kind of inclusion where I just don't end the script, but it prompt me for another interface. Okay, so we can do that. What I'll do is I'll just copy the whole thing. If I put it over in a new file, so let's say Netmiko's admin interface something .py. If I just keep it here, so let's try to understand. Okay, so no one is in the lobby, I guess. Let me see once. Okay, yeah. So I have approved them. Okay. Guys, 1 second. I'm just approving those guys. Okay, I guess all are joined now. All right. So regarding this script where you wanted to try something, so let's say this was the script which we discussed. We called the Netmiko library. We defined the Netmiko class. We took the SSH initialization. This is not a required command. Let's assume that we are already in enabled mode. Okay, this whereas in the web portal I have pasted this in case you wanna take care of enable, but let's remove this because I'm already in user 15 privilege mode and my IP is 132. So let's say the user will be prompted for interface. It will be executing the output of that. We are gonna see if the interface is invalid, then a print statement will be shown to the user saying the interface is invalid and he has to take care of it. Otherwise, we will only capture the first line with the help of range 0 or index 0, only one line. We will print it up. If it is shown as not up, then we will do the following things. We will go to that interface, we will do no shutdown, and then we will print the output of that. Okay, that we have already enabled it. Let's say if the interface was already up, then we are gonna say that interface is already enabled and we will disconnect. So if I run this as of now, okay, this is happening because of verbose. If I just change this verbose, we will turn off those interactive. This is called as SSH interactive session. So let's say if I go with 0/1, it says interface is so and so, and we are out of the script now. So you guys wanted me to add something which makes this kind of a continuous strategy, like we will be keep on entering the inputs and it don't come out. So the only thing we can achieve this requirement is using some looping. Okay, so let me tell you, looping is something where you need iterations, continuous iteration. There are like for loop, okay, there is a while loop, we can make use of nested loop. So these are only the 3 or 4 types of looping which we need to get in the script, and as per the requirement we will go and use it. Say, let's say in the case of for loop, we used for loop whenever I had multiple devices. I said we will go next with for loop, and we called that list and we did kind of same task for multiple devices. So that was a looping condition where I had multiple devices but the same task. Let's say the same set of command I have to trigger on multiple devices. Okay, so in that case we went with for loop iteration. Now, since here in this requirement, okay, regarding the for loop, there was a limit in the sense whatever device you give in that list or the square bracket, it will implement on each one of them and it will come out of it. But here the requirement is where you need to do it n number of times. Let's say 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, 100 times. So what is the next option that we have here? So if I just show you what are loops, so we will see what are the different types of loops we have in Python. Okay, so we have a for loop. So we define some devices and we execute it. So basically same task will be over here, and for each devices those same task will be triggered up. Okay, so that was used as a for loop scenarios. You can ignore break. Break is for to come out of that looping if the condition has been met, but it is not one type of loop. It is just to what you say, enhance that loop. Otherwise looping will happen for all 100 things. Let's say my condition is met in the first 5 itself. Why should I go till the 100th line, right? So break is just to enhance that. What else do we have? Continue is also to enhance it. Okay, range is once again something you can add with the for loop, but the for loop is called as looping here. Okay, not the continue or break. They are just for enhancement purpose. What else do we have here? We have else in for loop. Okay, now this is second type of looping, nested loop. Nested loop is once you have a parent loop, and inside that parent loop you have defined a child loop. Like in the case of telnet library, we defined a first for loop for 10 devices, and within that 10 devices we defined one more for loop to configure VLANs, right? I could have done VLANs in a standalone approach, but I preferred with nested loop. I will have a parent for loop, and within that parent for loop I defined another for loop for VLAN purpose. So it was my requirement, so I bought this second for loop, and the whole thing is called as nested loop here. Okay, this is enhancement thing. Okay, now what else we have? We have something called as while loop. Now while loops comes into two mode. The first mode of while loop has some starting and ending point. Okay, so this is called as one mode of while loop. Basically, you will define your start, you will define your conditions, and you will define your incremental thing. This by default is 1 always. You can go with 2 incremental, 3 incremental, doesn't matter. You will define one statement, and basis on that statement you will execute this. This is a while loop. This comes into what you say, some sorts of iterations. Let's say 10 iterations, 20 iterations, it's all good with that. Okay, break is to enhance that. If you are already met the requirement, why should you go with the last line? You can come out of it. Continue is, if you are met with the condition, you will still continue it. You will print something, you're gonna print something, but you will still keep on going forwarding. Okay, else is once again some condition set with along with while loop. You are defining some statement. Else, if that statement is not met, you can easily do a error handling. Okay, let's say if you run this, you would get some error that the while loop is closed or no more something. You can give a good looking print statement that I is no longer, so we are coming out of it. Okay, now important thing, these guys have missed it, so let me take some other reference which I can show you for, especially for while loop. Basically, while loops comes in two things. One is infinite iteration, and the other one is finite iteration. Finite in the sense you can set the starting number and you can just set the condition. So you can just calculate, it would run for like 6 iterations if it is incremental by 1. There is one more approach which is called infinite, which is very dangerous. Dangerous in the sense there is no end point for that. It will keep on going on until you do a control C for your script. Okay, so that is called as infinite while looping, and it is very simple to define also. You don't have to worry to get this in your script, and that is what I'm gonna do it right now on this script which I was discussing. Okay, see the two types, indefinite iterations and definite iteration. This will have with some starting and ending number. It will run for so long and it will come out of it. Indefinite is where you don't specify the end point. You just increment in +1, that's all. Okay, let me see if they have given some examples here. Okay, this is not something I'm looking for. These are definite iterations, or I can say it as starting some conditions. Okay, infinite loops. Suppose you write a while loop that theoretically never ends. Okay, how do you end this? With the help of control C. And I thought this will be a good fit for our script. So I am gonna take this loop and add in my scenario. Okay, so let me define this in the script. So I can run the script without closing it. It is gonna prompt us. Okay, so how do I gonna include this point? So let's say I define a starting point as variable 1, and then I define the infinite looping. I say while variable equals to 1. Okay, and all my rest of the lines will be part of this while loop now. So let us bring this under indentation level 1. Okay, so basically this is indentation 0. So I just bought this whole line within the while loop iterations. So this will basically go for infinite numbers until we close this. So let's give it a try. Okay, enter the interface that you want to enable. Let's go with 0/1. Okay, so it is up. We are not out of the script now. We are in the next loop set. Let's go with 0/2. We are still in the script without breaking it. Let's go with 0/3. We are still in the script. Okay, and this is what is the infinite loop is gonna do. Now let me purposefully bring one of the interface down. So let's say interface gi0/1 has to be no shut from my script point of view, so that we can see all the other three scenarios here. So let me try with 0/1 now. Oops, I took some delay, so that is why I got out of it. No, not an issue. I'll try once again. Okay, it's asking me for interface. Let's try with some good interface first, and then we will go with the interface that has to be made up. Okay, so this is the interface which has to be made up. So let's see what is the script gonna do. So it says that it is admin down, line is down, interface is down, enabling the interface. It did the job, but it has not still broken me out of the script. I'm still within the script. So I can try with once again 0/1. Okay, it took me out because I took some time while I didn't input the feedbacks. Okay, let me once again put this shut. Okay, gi0/2. All right, it was up. 0/1. It is down. It is bringing it up. Okay, I'll try with once again 0/1. It says that it is already up now because it is already done the job. What about 0/0? It is already up. Now what about if I type Ethernet 0/0? It says that you have entered a invalid interface. Fine, we are still in the script only. Let's go with one more interface. It says you have entered an invalid interface. Okay, let me try with something good one. Okay, it says that interface is already up, and you can go with one more attempt. So this is infinite. There is no iterations given. But if you want to go with some iteration, I told you, go with the starting digit, set the condition, and you can stop it. Okay, you can take it on your own. Now how do I close this? Either my timeout has to happen. If I have set 3 seconds, then automatically this will get timed out, or I can go with Control C or Control X, which will break me and put me out of the script. Okay, so it was just a addition of 2 lines, and I am totally doing something which you guys asked me to bring this. Okay, so I guess this will help you guys if you wanted to have this kind of approach. Okay, now the same script, I'm gonna make it more practical. Okay, more practical in the sense, how if user will input the IP address rather than we defining the IP address here, the user will define the IP address, and at the same time user, as a layman or a non-technical guy, he may not be knowing what is the format of IP address. He doesn't know what is 1.1.1 or what is 2.2.2 or 3.3.3. Might be he type 1.a.b. something, right? So we need some sorts of mechanism which can tell that whatever IP you entered is valid or not valid, and so and so. Okay, so we have a couple of ways to do that, but I will show you the regex way of doing it. How the regex is gonna check the IP, it's gonna check its database what we have defined, and then it's gonna say that if it's a valid IP or it's an invalid IP, and the user will be prompted for the second attempt, and so on. Okay, now how do we get a regex inside a Netmiko script? So we just have to import, or we have to call it. So RE stands for regular expression. Okay, and how do we define or we construct a regex search syntax? That is the hardest part of regex. Okay, that is the defining of regex search. So let's go with some online tools where we can test something. So I'll show you some online website which, okay, this is a good website. I have tried few of them, but I prefer going with regex101.com. Okay, now let's talk from IP concept point of view. What is the starting IP? Starting IP is something 0.0.0. What is the ending IP? 255.255.255 is the ending IP. So we need to construct a regex in such a way that the IP will fall inside this range. Okay, if a user types 1.a.a.a, basically that's an invalid IP. If a user type 255.256. 255.255, then that's a wrong IP once again, right? We are gonna define what is the uh, actual IP range, and then we will do a regex query here. Okay, so how do we define a regex query? We will start with something called as power symbol. Okay, so power symbol is nothing but it says that it's a start of the regex. And now, how many octets are in IPv4? We have 4 octets. So octet 1, octet 2, octet 3, and octet 4. So basically 4 octet for IPv4 address. We are targeting IPv4. We can do for IPv6 also, but let's not complex the script. Then we will not be able to complete the other things. So let's go with IPv4. Okay. So we need 4 octets here. 1 second, guys. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I saw someone posted the Flask thing, and in the morning I also checked it. I would say that that's more of DevOps scope of work. Okay, the Flask thing. Flask is not gonna give you web portal, and don't think you will immediately integrate with Python and you can do a very complex front end and back end. The Flask will be integrated internally with the SQL. SQL will have all the database of username. So basically that's completely DevOps. So uh, until or unless your enterprise or your company don't ask you to do something on your own, I suggest don't do that. Focus more on your networking and CCI, and then learn the automation part, because the Flask is taking you away from the the networking field. Actually, you just go with the syllabus what is discussed in that course. You will see they have discussed about HTML, CSS, creation of forms, Flask web portal, SQL integration. So basically that's very complex thing. Now I was talking about Flask, okay, which is posted in the WhatsApp group, so not in this chat. All right, so let's come back to the script. Okay, so these are the 4 octet. I'm gonna construct my regex query. Let's begin with 4 groups now. I need 4 groups. Let's say this is gonna be one group, this is gonna be group 2, group 3, and group 4. Okay, okay, let's define this. So the first number over here, it should be either 25, or it can be either 20, right? Or it can be either 0, or it can be either 1. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, how does the octet 1 will start? So let's say this is one of the approach. The second approach could be something this, right? Or it could be something like this, or let's say it could be something like this, or let's say it could be something like this. I'm talking about the octet 1 now, first octet. So there are a couple of options: 255, 200, just 2, just 0, just 10, right? So we need to prepare the regex in such a way that everything fits. So let's say I'm gonna say 0 to 5 now. Okay, I'm gonna say 2 5 and in bracket 0 to 5. What is that gonna do that? Okay, how can I test it if I write this 255? Okay, 255 question mark is question mark. Okay, okay, so this is a format to see if, to just see the first thing, that is especially from 255 point of view. Okay, if I go with 25, or let's say 240, now it says no match. The reason is I have gone with 25 and then possibilities from 0 to 5. What about 256? Basically that is also wrong thing. It is not in my range. So let's change the range between 0 to 6 now. Now it is a good number. but I know that as a network engineer 256 is not a right IP, so let's put it back to 0 to 5. Okay, so 255 is one such range which is good with me. Okay, the similar way I have to construct all the possibilities for the first octet now. So I'll take out all these things which I used for testing purpose. Let's go with the AND symbol. Okay, and let me define the next possibility. So let's say 0 to 4, because 0 to 5 doesn't make sense. I already have defined 5 here. So let's talk from the second range, that is 240 range, 230 range, 220 range, 200 range, 210 range. Okay, so this is gonna fit there, 0 to 4, and I'm gonna say the last number of that, let's say 2, 4, and the last one, it can start with 0 and it can go till what 9. So let's see what do we have here. 0 to 9. Okay, let's check it out with question mark bracket. We can give a try. Will 240 suit us? Yes, it is suiting us. What about 249? Yes, it is well enough. We have defined here. What about 256? No, we have not defined. But if I change this to 6, then yes, it is a part of that. But if I bring back to the actual IPv4 address, then 255 is a good IP. But what is the starting range which I have written here? The starting could be with 1 also, right? So that don't have to worry. This will take care of it. These things will take care of it. Let's say 1. Okay. Okay. So it says not valid. So let's see how can I bring that as well. So for that, I'll write one more block. Let's say 0 to 9. Okay. And I'll also go with 0 to 9. Let's go with question mark. Okay, so is it taking 100? No. What about it's taking 150? No. Okay, so something is missing. Let's see what is missing. Okay, the thing that is missing is the AND symbol. AND symbol, we don't need question mark here. That was for testing purpose, and now we can meet the requirement. So 150 is meeting us the expectation. What about 10? 10 is also meeting. How is it meeting? Because of this two options. So we will have it 1 carried from here and 0 carried from here. What if I change this 0 and say 1? Now you see this is not a matching thing. It says only 1 is matching, but this is not matching because I defined 0, but I'm starting with 1. I should have started with 0 here. So I'll start with 0. Now that is matching. What about only 0? If my IP is something like 0.0.0.1. Okay. So let's go with only 0. So that is also matching. Okay. What about 100? So let's see for 100. So for 100, we see that 2 places it's matching, but not the last one. So let's see how can we fix that. Okay. So over here, over after the AND symbol, how if I get something for 0 to 1? So that is now matching your requirement. 100 has been met. Okay. So this is how we will construct the regex, and collectively we will place it. So let's say this is the one block. We are good with the first octet 1. Octet 1 is done. So we'll continue writing the next thing. It will be just a copy paste and nothing else. So 0 to 1. Okay, and if you see on the right hand side, it is gonna give you the description actually what is actually happening here. Okay, so now I'll just copy the whole thing till this bracket. Let me put a dot here, sorry, a backslash and a dot, and I'll paste one more time. Let's say if 100, yes, it is matching. Okay, full match is this, group 1 is this, and group 2 is this. Let's go with one more time for the third octet. Let's say 100. It is a good match. Let's go with one more time for the octet 4 and let's test it. So that is a good match. Okay, now I can try with any possibility 192, 168, 32, 200. So it says that there is a match here. Okay, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. If you want to try with the 256, 256, 256, 256, so that is a invalid. Okay, if you go with 255, 255, 255, so it's a there's a match for this. Okay, so I'm gonna take the whole syntax and I'll keep in my script here. So how do we define this? We will say that it's a regex query. We can make use of a variable and we have to define the statement. Okay, the statement will be defined with 3 inverted commas, something like this. Okay, and let's see if I'm not missed something. So 255 is for the first thing. This is in case it is gonna go with 24 or 23, something like that. This is for the last number, that could be 240, 241, 231, 239, all those things. Let's say it was not in the 2 series, it was 100 series. Okay, so for that we are defining this. And then let's say if it wanted to be in 10, 20, then we need this and this. If it was just a single number, say single digit, then this will handle it. Okay, a question mark to end this group, a bracket to close the whole group 1, and this is a notation between that dot here. So basically, if you try to understand what does this say, so let's see where is it showing that. Okay, it basically matches the character case sensitive, because our main intention for IPv4 address is this dot, right? So that is why we are making use of that character in terms of regex query. So in terms of regex, we need to have this what you say, forward slash along with dot, so that it matches that character dot symbol here. Okay, okay, so what about the second octet? The same thing, I copy pasted so that it can accumulate the whole thing. We have a dot in between, and we have this, the third octet, the fourth octet. Okay, fine. So how do we get this now? Get into our scripting. We can go with some functions now. You know that function is a block of code, and when we call this function, we basically get the output. And over here, I just want to understand if input is valid or not. That is only the thing. Then I'll call this IP in my IP over here. Okay, so that we will make it more dynamic, not a static kind of thing. We can take this out. We will keep that valid IP which we get from the user, and we will keep it here. We'll make it more kind of dynamic in nature. Okay, let's define some function. So we call it def. Def stands for defining the function. So let's say we wanna first check if IP is right or wrong. That is the first query here. Okay, so I say if regex search, what is my variable that I'm using for this? Let's say if the regex for the IP which the user has input, if it falls under this query, then I'm gonna print saying that valid IP address, or we are gonna say invalid IP address. So we don't need to have one more regex query, because if already this is met, we will print valid IP. If it is not met, then we will just come out of it, right? So we will say print okay, print invalid IP. Okay, fine. Now how do we call this? Basically, to call this, we can go with okay, let me show you basically what I'm trying to say. Let's say I define, so basically this is a query happening, But where is the input coming from? You need to give some input output so that user can type, and then the query will check, and then the query will say it is invalid or valid, right? So we have to define the normal thing which we've been doing. Enter IP address. So here is where the user will input his IP. It will be checked in the regex. Regex will check this query, and then it will print so and so, and then the thing starts. Okay, and let's call this function. So let's say the function name check, and what is the argument that you're passing? You're passing it IP. Okay, and this is the IP which will be now placed here. If it is valid, it will come here. If it is not valid, it will be just out of the script. We will not be bothered about this. Okay, so let me try to run this. Let's see if the regex is good. Okay, it says IP is not defined. So where am I missing something? Okay, so it says IP not defined. Line 17. Okay. If else IP. Okay, I will do something called as there is something called as Python's name main. Okay, you might have seeing this for the very first time. So let's see what is this basically gonna do. This is a way of calling a function inside the script. Okay, I'll show you. I'll tell you how does this work. But let's try to insert this here. So let's say if the variable name is the actual script, then you will execute that particular script only. Okay, why do I do this? Is actually we are not calling this if we don't add this line. So this will help me in the refactoring method also. Let's say the same script, I was trying to create another child profile, and I wanted to call this block of function. So basically the things within this will get triggered up. So we define this statement so that these things don't trigger up in the next or in the child profile. We will come to that, but let's see how this function. Let me first fix this script. Okay, so let me run this. It is asking me for enter IP address. Let's go with some wrong IP. Okay, it says connection timed out. I need to be little quick. Let's say A.A. Okay, so there is some mistake here. Let's see what is not well. Okay, define check IP. I defined the regex query, print statement, else statement. Okay, invalid. If name equals to main, it's gonna ask for the IP. It's gonna check the IP, and then we have input this over here, and we have a in infinite while loops. Okay. Okay, did I close the regex? Let me check that. Okay, regex is not closed. Okay, the closing of regex is always with a dollar symbol. Now let's give a try. Let's go with a wrong IP. Okay, so basically something is missing here. Device. Okay, regex IP print else if IP input IP address, check IP. Let's see if the regex is not broken anywhere. Okay, so this is a dot here. There's a dot here. Question mark, dollar symbol, and this three things. Okay. Okay. Let's go with some good IP. Let's see what happens in that case. Uh, so let's say if I go with a good IP. Okay, no. Let's go with a good one. So let's say 192.168.32.132. Okay, it says valid. That means my invalid IP is not working. And it is asking me for the interface. Fine, interface is good. Interface is good. Okay, so that part is good. Okay, so the issue is I have not defined for invalid IP, and in the sense the invalid thing is not happening. Basically, this should get printed up. Okay, so if I go with a good IP, so there is no issue with that. It says IP is valid, but we will get a SSH issue here because we don't have something for 1.1.1. Okay, so it is basically trying to connect, but we will get that timeout or something. See, basically this is not a valid IP. We are good with that. But I was trying to do something else. So let's say if I want to type wrong IP, even then it should tell us that it's an invalid IP. So basically we can go with another else statement and it will fix the issue. Okay. So basically we are good. We are 90% good with this thing, or 95% we are good with the thing. Only thing is we need to put another error handling for something which is out of the box. Okay. Basically this should have triggered. I'm not sure why this is not getting triggered. It should basically trigger and give us an invalid IP, because when I tested it, this was happening. I guess there is something which is missed out, because of which uh, the invalid statement is not printing up. Okay, is it print? Oh yeah, so it is printing up. So that means it's a good script only. It is only that the script is going failed because of our mistake. So if I say with all A, if I enter, yeah, so it is doing its job. Basically, due to my scrolling issue, I was not able to see this thing. So basically it is happening. So our script is 100% right. What we are, uh, the scope was out of the script. We have written the regex for IPv4. We are doing the two checks, and then we are basically going to the next part of the module. And these things, I guess you know what we did, because this has been taken up from the previous class, and today we try to enhance it with some infinite looping and all those things. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any doubt, because quickly I want to show you other few things also. We are left with only 15 minutes. Guys, you can unmute. I have unmuted you guys.
Sagar, this error what we get, socket is closed and all. Like if we have execution time out, if we keep from like 0 to 4, if we increase that, we'll not get this error. Socket is closed, something like that.
You wanna increase the timed out issue. I mean the SSH timed out thing.
Yeah.
See, there are two things now. The one thing is you can bring this input interface above the SSH, so that until user input something, there is no SSH connection. Only when he has put that interface number, and when he hit enter, then the SSH takes place, so that you can avoid this kind of socket close thing. Or you can try increasing the SSH timed out, but I'm not sure in production that will be a useful thing, because this SSH timed out will be a standard for the devices, might be 15 minutes or something. So I can tell you that if this statement you bring above the SSH, then you can save getting the socket closed concerns.
So when we are giving execution time of 0 to 5, then it means it's 5 seconds, right?
Yes, it is a 5 seconds. Yes.
Right.
But in Cisco, only in Cisco that 0 to 5 is 5 second. Whereas in ASA firewall, I think it starts with 1 minute only. There is no second provision.
Okay.
So was this script useful? I mean, from some sorts of point, some way, it useful?
Yeah, Sagar, yeah, it was useful and thanks for explaining this. And I just want to, can you please explain the regex part
Okay.
again?
Yeah. So regex.
Yeah, just give some brief, yeah, that will be fine.
Yeah. So
That
the
while closing it, yeah.
yeah. So the regex part is only the hardest part of regex building. So I would say that it will take some time, but from my script point of view, I wanted 4 octet, and there were a lot of possibilities for 1 octet itself. It could be 255, 200, just to 0, 10, might be 100, something like this. Okay, so I have defined all the possibilities in each one of them. So let's say if I take out the group 2 and group 3 and group 4 and I just keep one of them, so you can see the possibilities here. That is, this will give me 255. Okay, if the input was 200, then this will give me that uh, behavior of 200 or 210 or 22, might be 2222, or might be 230 or 240, up to 4. Okay, and then if you want to go with hundreds, because you are done with 2, the next number is only 100 and then zeros. So for hundreds also you have a possibility now. So you can go with 100, 101, might be what other possibility, like 150, 149. So basically you can meet that expectation. Let's say the number was now with a 2 digit, like 20 or 30 or 40 or 25, 35, 45. So for that we have 2 queries kept here. So any number between this will meet the requirement. So basically whole thing will just help you from 0 to 255 actually.
Okay.
Okay.
So the numeric part, yes, I'm clear. So what about that cap as well as the question mark we are giving, right? So what is the meaning of that?
So this is the start of regex. When you see the cap or power symbol, it's a start of the regex. So you can see over here, they have given a good explanation also. One second. Okay, so you can see here, this is basically the start of line.
Okay.
Yeah, and the first capturing group. So you can see the query kept here. You can see the first out of that 255 bracket 0 to 5. It says that 25 matches the character literally, and then you have the range of 0 to 5, which can range between 0 to 5. It can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so over here it's a character which can range between 0 to 5. And in the second alternative, where I defined for those 240, 230, 220, 210 and 200, it's saying that 2 will literally match the character, no doubt, the first one. And for the ranges within that square bracket, it will be 0 to 4 for the first bracket, and for the second bracket it will be between 0 to 9. And in the third possibilities, we have for hundreds, 120, 130, 100, 101, 199, okay, or 100, 25, So for that range, we have defined this 3 blocks, and each block will accordingly work, like 120 or 190, 140. So all this will be taken care by this block. And finally, not finally, second but last, which is for 2 digits like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and all. So for this range, that is from 10 to 99, for that range, we have defined the last 2 blocks, which will be good with that. And finally, for the single digits, that is from 0 to 9, we have the last block, which will take care of it. And what is this question mark here? It says that it matches between 0 and 1 time, as many times as possible. So might be for repeated numbers like 11, 22, might be 33, for the repetition number many times as possible, giving back as needed. Greedy. It said that greedy situation. And this was the last range 0 to 9 for single digits, 0 to 9 thing. So yes, that completes that. And the bracket is for identifier between group 1, group 2. And yes, regarding the dollar symbol, which says the end of the line. Okay, so basically when you end a regex query, you will end with the dollar symbol. So I hope it's understandable, right? Or anything which you want to understand.